What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. And another Phillies win. Can't say I'm actually surprised. I didn't think the Phillies would actually find a way to figure out to get the Jacob deGrom tonight, but they did. Very late in this game, in around, what was it, the sixth or the seventh inning, around the seventh inning, when Max Kepler, gets that clutch 2 RBI hit to make it a 3-1 Phillies lead, and that's basically where they would lay off. Jesus Alvarado, not Jesus Alvarado, Jesus Luzardo. Where did I get the fuck Jesus Alvarado from? Holy fucking shit, it's been a long night. It's been a very long night. Jesus Luzardo put in a very solid start, and I do think Rob Thompson pulled the right trigger to not let him go into the seventh inning, let the bullpen take it from there. Luzardo had a solid start, got through some battles, got through some jams, but he kept the team involved and he kept it a one-run game. And I think that was the right call by Rob Thompson to not let him go further into this ball game. Banks comes in, gets a nice clean inning. Matt Strom does allow the leadoff bomb to Seager, but then he retired the next three guys there. And then we finally get the witness once again, Jhoan Duran. That was always fun to witness. Very, 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 very fun stuff. Always seeing that high heat and that disgusting splitter. My God, I still can't believe that this dude throws a splitter of almost 100 miles an hour. It is absolutely insane. But hey, it's another good win for the Phillies, and you win the series. You took the first two games of this series, and now you do have a chance to sweep tomorrow with Zach Wheeler on the bump, who is going to pitch. They're not going to push his start back once again. Everything they're making it sound like he's good to go for tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll see where the Zach Wheeler experience is going to take us tomorrow. Because is it just an extra couple of days of rest going to be enough for Zach Wheeler, and he's going to look like he normally does? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what we're going to see from Zach Wheeler tomorrow. But if he does look like normal Zach Wheeler, if the rest did really help him, then the worries should be gone, I guess. But right now, the worries are still there with Zach Wheeler just because he's still been very shaky. I'm very skeptical when it comes to shoulder injuries and shoulder soreness with pitchers and all that stuff, especially a pitcher of the caliber of Wheeler, and especially the pitcher that has a lot of mileage on his body, especially since signing with Philadelphia, just pitching to so many deep in the seasons and everything like that, and pitching so many innings. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And I'm not sure if that's just all coming back to bite him at once, or this is just a stretch where he just doesn't feel like himself, and maybe just a couple of days off, the extra couple of days of rest, is going to do him very much wonders. I'm not entirely sure. We're just going to have to wait and see what we get from the Zach Wheeler experience tomorrow. You're also going up against Patrick Corbin, I believe. It is tomorrow afternoon, so hopefully the offense can get Zach Wheeler some run support, so maybe he doesn't feel as pressured and he could just go out there and be himself. Like I said, I don't know what we're going to get from Wheeler tomorrow, but hopefully it could be in a position where the Phillies can finally sweep a series for once, because that would be very, 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 very nice. And it is good that the Phillies are taking advantage of a Texas Rangers team that does not have a good offense. They do have very good pitching. They have a very good bullpen. They have very good starting pitching. But the offense showed up yesterday, and the offense came up clutch when it needed to in today's ball game, which is very important. Now, granted, they were getting diced up a lot by Jacob deGrom. He was looking like throwback Jacob deGrom with the New York Mets and all that stuff, winning a bunch of Cy Youngs in a row. But Jacob deGrom is still very good. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's also coming off of two very bad outings, so I guess he was due for a good one. But it's just like very annoying that you can't take advantage of a guy that has been struggling over the past couple of starts with like what Jacob deGrom has been doing. So, but still, you found a way to win the ball game, and that is the most important thing at the end of the day. So, if we look at just the way that this game went about, Jesus Luzardo, his final stat line: 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts on 82 pitches. Good stuff. It's a quality start. Still was all around the strike zone like Jesus Luzardo normally is, but he was able to minimize the damage. Phillies defense also helped him a little bit at the same time. Sosa was playing very well over at third base defensively tonight, made some very huge plays, and Luzardo got out of a lot of jams. So it's good stuff. Banks out of the bullpen. He allowed 1 hit, but retired basically out of that unscathed. Matt Strom allowed the solo shot to Seager, but then he allowed the next 3 guys to get out. And then Duran just a quick and easy 1-2-3, bottom of the 9th inning to get the save, which is always some electric stuff. So just looking at the way the game went about, Phillies offense, like I said, they I wouldn't say limped coming out of the gate. It was just like, okay, they scored a bunch of runs last night. They're probably not going to come out of the gate very hot tonight, and that's exactly what happened. And then you get the Rangers in the bottom of the first inning with 3 singles in a row by Seager, Semien, and Langford to give them a 1-0 lead, and that would be the only run they scored the entire night. Top second inning, Bader, he had a 2-out single, but then he got caught stealing, so nothing happened there. 1-2-3 bottom of the second inning for Luzardo. A 2-out double by Stott in the top of the third. Nothing happens there. Top of the fourth inning, JT with a 1-out or a 2-out single. Nothing happens there as well. Another jam for Luzardo in the bottom of the fourth. Garcia had a double, but then he eventually got caught stealing. JT also had a couple of good throws today, which helped Luzardo a lot. So Garcia got caught stealing. Berger then singled basically right after it, so very poor base running on Garcia's aspect because he would have scored on the single. Heim walked, and then Duran struck out swinging. Top of the fifth, Kepler had a 1-out single. Nothing happened there. Bottom four, a leadoff single for Haggerty. Then Seager struck out, and then another good throw by JT Realmuto to get Haggerty to stealing second base. So you got 2 outs right there. So no more worries for Luzardo. Top six, you go down 1-2-3. Bottom six, Luzardo gets another 1-2-3 inning. That would be his final inning of the night. I do wonder, though, if he would have came back out for the bottom of the seventh inning if the Phillies were still losing 1-0 or something like that. Or Rob maybe would have gone to the bullpen once again. Or maybe it's just the fact that the Phillies got a lead and you maybe want to give Jesus Luzardo, get him out there on a high note, and then you go to the bullpen to get the rest of the job done. Maybe that's more of the case. Maybe if the Phillies were still losing 1-0 or the game was tied 1-1, maybe Luzardo would have went back out there. But the case that they got a lead, Luzardo has been struggling with the lead in the past couple of games. Just get him out there going off on a high note. He has a quality start and all that stuff. You leave the bullpen to do the rest. Maybe that was the case. Maybe that was. So Brandon Marsh in the top of the seventh inning with 1 out. He had a single, then Bader walks, and then Kepler doubles down the right field line. Kind of poorly played by Garcia in right field, if I do say so. Kind of took a little bit to get to that ball, but it goes all the way to the wall, and both runs score to make it a 2-1 lead. So that was very nice. Sosa then sacrificed Kepler over to third base with a fly out the deep center field. Then they bring in the left-hander to face Bryson Stott, and he gets a clutch 2-out RBI single to give the Phillies a 3-1 lead. So that was very nice, and that was basically the only rest of the offense for the Phillies. What else? Top bottom of the seventh inning, like I said, the 2-out single by Duran against Tanner Banks. He got out of that. Top of the eighth inning, Schwarber with a leadoff walk. Nothing really happened. He did get the second base. It was first and second with 1 out with Brandon Marsh up at the plate, and he grounded into a double play, unfortunately. Matt Strom, he allows the leadoff bomb to Seager, and then retired the next 3 guys in order. Top 9, Phillies went down 1-2-3, and then bottom 9, Duran retires the batters 1-2-3, so very good stuff. Basically, his only tough at bat was Garcia. Fouled off a couple of pitches, worked the count, and then he got worked out a ground out. Peterson then struck out. Then he got Smith the ground out on a very quick at bat right there. So overall, just a very solid game for your fighting Phils. Not much really happened, but when they did get the chances, they did cash in, and that was basically when Kepler came up, and then Stott came up, and then realistically, the only other chance I think they did have was the Brandon Marsh double play. Turner did have a chance with Stott on second base, but struck out. But overall, it was a pretty good game by the Phils. Overall, pretty good. So we look at the lineup tonight. Trade to your top of the lineup. Top of the lineup didn't do much. It was basically your bottom of the lineup. Top of the lineup went a combined 0 for 11 with 6 strikeouts. So they weren't doing anything against Jacob deGrom. JT Realmuto, he went 1 for 3. Brandon Marsh 1 for 4. Bader 1 for 3 with a walk. Kepler went 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. Sosa, Edmundo Sosa at third base for some reason just does not do well offensively. It doesn't make sense. He goes 0 for 4 compared to when he plays shortstop and second base. It's just absolutely crazy. And then Bryson Stott went 2 for 3 with a single, so it was your bottom of the lineup that did all the work today. So very good stuff. And like I said, that's something that I did bring up yesterday. When there are days when the top of your lineup cannot come up. You need other guys to step up on a consistent basis. And we have been seeing that more frequently in the past couple of series, so that definitely is something to just look out for as we progress further into the rest of the season. But it also, it's just something to monitor. You have your Schwarber, you have your Harper, you have your 2 superstars in the lineup. Those guys are going to need help, and you need a third guy or maybe even a fourth, secondary guy to step up every now and then. And we have been getting that over the past couple of series, so it's just something to monitor. It's just something to monitor as we go on, because you had Kepler, even though Kepler's not going to do this consistently. It was funny too, because going into today's game, Rob Thompson actually, because when we saw the lineup, we were like, oh wow, what, Nick Castellanos is not in the lineup and Max Kepler's still in the fucking lineup or something, for some goddamn reason. They were like, oh my god, Rob's really committing to the Max Kepler bit, and Rob gave the comment that he doesn't want his outfielders playing so much, playing he wants to mix up the outfielders during the series because of the way the turf is in Texas or something like that. So he wanted to give Nick the day off. So you had Kepler in right, you had Marsh in left, and Bader in center. So I'm not sure what's going to be like it tomorrow against Patrick Corbin. I would assume it's going to be, I would assume you're going to have Bader in center field. You're going to have Nick Castellanos in right, and then I'm not sure who's going to play in left field, because I don't think they're going to want to put either Kepler or Marsh in against the lefty, unless they just play Marsh or something like that, or you put Otto Kemp out there in left field. I'm not entirely sure, so it is something to just monitor. But I'm not entirely sure what happens there. But overall, it was definitely a weird case before the game, and it was another situation where we all complained about Max Kepler. Why the fuck is he still in the lineup? And he came up large. So that's a bit. That's definitely a bit right now. I'm not sure how long that's gonna last. It's probably not gonna last very long, but definitely is nice for the time being. Definitely feels nice for a time. Definitely a change of pace. And also with this win, the Mets lost again to the Milwaukee Brewers, so they had lost 2 out of 3 so far in that series. I think they lost like 7-4 or something like that. Yeah, they lost 7-4, and it was just another situation where I believe it was Frankie Montas on the mound for the Mets, and it was a boop or something like that, or a weird hop near Francisco Lindor, 2 outs, bases loaded in the bottom of the second inning that got by him, and 2 runs scored because of that. And that was basically, the Brewers just ran away with the rest of the game. So the Brewers just keep finding ways to win games. The Mets keep finding ways to lose games. And hey, that's good for the Phillies. Take advantage of that. And you are taking advantage of that with this series. Won the first 2 games. You were 3.5 down. Now I believe you're 4.5 out. I'm not 4.5 out. You're 4.5 up now on the Mets, with the way that everything is going right now. Yep, you're 4.5 up on the Mets. So just taking advantage of those. Keep taking advantage of those. And if you do sweep tomorrow, who's on the mound for tomorrow's game with the Mets and the Brewers? Sean Manaea against Quinn Priester. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I did see Ryan Helsley gave up a home run to William Contreras. So right now, the Mets bullpen pickups have not been the best for them. They definitely have not been. So definitely an interesting factor. So we're just gonna have to wait and see where that takes us. Um, it is also just one thing that I do want to point out. It does feel very nice to go into a 9th inning with a 1-run lead and not have to really stress that you actually have a fucking closer that can go in there and just completely shut things down. And that's what Duran will do. Now, granted, on probably once in every blue moon, he will blow a save because he is human. But right now, you do have your de facto 9th inning guy, and you don't really have to constantly flip flop so many different guys in the 9th inning. We don't have to use Kirkering, so many 9th innings, or Strom so many 9th innings, or something like that, or fucking Romano or something like that. We don't have to go through that. We don't have to go through that anymore. We have our de facto guy, and granted, he's only been used 3 times, because the couple of times the Phillies had exploded for runs in the inning prior to when they probably could have used him. So that is also a bit. So we'll see how long that continues as well. They did that last night in Texas in that top of the 9th inning, or the top of the 8th inning, where they exploded for so many runs. But yeah. Right now they're playing better baseball. They're playing better baseball, and they are taking advantage. They definitely are taking advantage of a lot of things, which is very good. Which is very, very good. And I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. And granted, I had this game more on in the background and everything like that. I've actually been playing the Battlefield 6 beta with one of my buddies for like the past couple of days here, so my mind was more put on that. And I'm probably going to be going more into the Battlefield beta after. So it's we're just going to have to wait and see. We're just going to have to wait and see and all that stuff. So it's very interesting. It's definitely very interesting how that'll progress. So yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll definitely see. We'll definitely see. So yeah, let's let's uh let's go further here. What are we gonna do here? What else is going to happen? Let's see. Standings wise, yep, 4.5 games up on the New York Mets. We do have a voicemail here on the Anytime Hotline, so we can get to that. Nothing else on the Twitterverse right now, so I do want to wait and see what else, if there is anything that comes from that. If there isn't really much that comes from that, let's see. Oh, here's an interesting stat from Jason Stark. Closers in Phillies history with 3 straight 1-2-3 saves in their first appearances as a Philly. Jhoan Duran in 2025. That's it. That is funny. That is very funny. Let's see. No, don't think there's anything else on that front. Nope, really nothing else from the Twitterverse. I was just making sure if there was anything else that popped up that was interesting from this game. Oh, here we go. Someone in the chat did bring up, I think it was a BA man that brought up something about Bryson Stott heating up a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, here's from Luke Aracani. Bryson Stott is hitting .333 since July 23rd, since the birth of his second child. Yeah, so maybe he got a little bit of a fire sparked under him. So we'll see where that goes. And I do think it's very important that we saw from this series, like I did bring up in the beginning, that if we do look at the stats around Major League Baseball with the Texas Rangers, the Rangers have the best ERA in Major League Baseball, and these past 2 games you have outpitched them. So that is a very good thing to see there. Luzardo, in essence, he did outpitch Jacob deGrom, and your bullpen outpitched the Rangers bullpen these past 2 nights. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Now, Zach Wheeler, we need him to be the true Zach Wheeler tomorrow, because it would be very nice, because if you could get a Zach Wheeler that now feels like himself again, that is a very definite good thing for your rotation. You're also going up against Patrick Corbin, and his numbers have been better than past seasons, but still Patrick Corbin. So we'll see. Let's see, in his last few starts. So let's see where he's basically been around a very high 3 ERA the entire season. So really can't expect much from a Patrick Corbin standpoint. It's definitely way better than his past so many seasons with the Nationals. But still, you should be able to, in theory, hit him. And the Phillies are still very familiar with Patrick Corbin. So, in theory, you should hit him. In theory. But I'm not guaranteeing shit. What else? Nope, don't think there's much. So, let's get to the voicemails. Let's get to the one that Sean left. And then get to you guys in the chat. Then we could wrap it up. More of a quicker one tonight. Really wasn't planning to do the recap stream tonight, but I do think with the way that they won and finally seeing Duran again, I think it was worthy of a recap. So yeah, let's get to Sean's call. See what he's got to say.
This one had the feel of a postseason game. I mean, you had solid pitching on both sides, solid defense, but the Phillies, I guess this is what you could say is the formula that they're going to have to utilize the rest of the year to have a chance. You've got to have the starting pitching. Luzardo gave that to you with a little help from JT Realmuto's arm. You have to have the middle relievers. Strom gave up the homer, but otherwise him and Banks did a pretty good job. And you have to get just enough offense to give Duran the lead and the ball in the 9th inning and hope that it holds up, and it did tonight. That's what a dominant closer does. Goes out there no matter where the game is played, no matter who the opposition is, and shuts it down. Kudos to Max Kepler. I mean, Kepler and Stott, have been getting bashed, and rightfully so. They came up big tonight. And the most impressive thing in closing, you really got nothing out of Turner, Harper, and Schwarber, and you managed to pull out the win. You get the series win. The pitching matchup normally would look pretty good tomorrow, but we don't know what we're getting out of Wheeler. But I do like our chances more against Patrick Corbin than I did against Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely should be a good feeling. Like you should have a better optimism that the Phillies can actually sweep a series for once. Considering the pitching matchup, it's just the question mark is what are you going to get from Zach Wheeler tomorrow? We just don't know because he's been so shaky his past so many starts, and now that he's dealing with the shoulder soreness, even though they said the MRI is clean and they said during his bullpen sessions he's been feeling better, so we're just going to have to trust them on their word at that point. And granted, not many people do trust sports organizations and team doctors with their word and all that crap, so which is very warranted. But yeah, if your offense can hit and they can give Zach Wheeler an early lead, and then we'll see what Zach Wheeler looks like in the first couple of innings. If Zach Wheeler in that first inning looks like traditional Zach Wheeler and he is pounding the strike zone, then you know you're going to have a good day. If Zach Wheeler's a little bit frantic, all over the place, it's going to be more of the same from Zach Wheeler over the past couple of weeks. Unless maybe he could just get away with that because the Texas Rangers offense is just not good. They just have not been good this year, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. Because if the Texas Rangers had a competent offense, realistically, I would say their only consistent guys are probably Corey Seager, and that's basically it. Like if I look at the Texas Rangers lineup actually, and just look at some of their numbers, um, just look at some of their averages. I think they have one of the worst averages in Major League Baseball team wise. They do not have a guy that is batting above 270 in their lineup. Now, granted, I don't know if that's different because the Phillies had two lefties on the mound this series, so I don't know what else is going to be there. Yeah, they do not have a guy batting above 270. They don't have a guy in these past two lineups, a guy that bats above 270. And the only guy with an on-base percentage above 350 is Corey Seager. And they don't have anybody with a slugging percentage above 500. And basically, Corey Seager's their best hitter. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'll get to some of you guys here in the chat. We'll then sign it off and see where we go from here tomorrow. Game's at 2 o'clock. So hopefully that will 2:35 actually. So we'll see if that results in a Phillies series sweep for the first time since June. First time since spring. They have not had a series sweep since the calendar's flipped or the season's flipped to summer. Let's see. Brian, how you doing? I've been seeing in the chat the past couple of times, Brian. I appreciate you joining in. Awesome comeback, and the Mets lost. Yep, 4.5 games up. 4.5 games up. Durantula eats again. Yep, exactly. Franco, how wasn't expecting Max Kepler to come in clutch. People should really learn not to run on JT Realmuto. Yeah. For as much flack as we've been giving JT for his offense, even though his bat has been a lot better, he's still very elite defensively. He's still one of the best catchers in that regard. Still one of the best there. Yep. Stoddy. Yep, it was B-Man that talked about Stoddy coming out of the slump. Yeah, he definitely is. Franco, I think Topper said the field is hard or something to that effect. Yeah, he said there was something with the way that the turf is in Texas. That's why he wanted to give his outfielders a break or something like that. Kemper, Wilson, or DH Nick and have Kyle play left field. It's definitely interesting. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Let's see. 6 straight loss for the Mets. You love to see it. Not as Ryan Helsley hasn't been as bad as the Yankees pickups though. Yeah, both those teams are in free fall right now. I still think that in overall sense the Mets will be fine, but they're losing a lot. They are super. I feel like they're more inconsistent than the Phillies are. That's the crazy thing. Part of the Mets' problem is they converted Helsley to mostly a setup man due to closer, and that can be trouble. Yeah, definitely could be the case. Kind of like when the Phillies were always using Hector Neris as a closer, and he really struggled in that role, but then once you put him into the 8th inning role, he was dominant because he wasn't a closer. He was a setup man. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? Sosa, Stott, and Trey all had great plays or tags. Yeah. Defense played very good today. Defense was very good, especially Sosa over at third. Stott also made a very good play in the top of the 9th inning off of Garcia. It was a very short chopper. Stott made a good run onto the ball, made a great throw with a Harper, and barely got Garcia. It was a great play. Great play in that 9th inning. I'm really impressed by Luzardo tonight. He did have a lot of guys on base, but after the first inning, he was very solid. Yeah, Luzardo was really good today. Luzardo, he battled. He battled. It was basically like Christopher Sanchez last night. He battled, but he found a way to get out of the jams, and his defense did help him a lot. Luzardo hanging all that traffic on bases was super encouraging. We'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes. I don't want to say more that it was just, and Luzardo did, I'm not trying to take credit away from Luzardo whatsoever, but, I think that also could be a factor with it just being the Texas Rangers and their offense not being the best. But I will give credit where credit is due. Luzardo does deserve credit. Brian, I'm here. I hear this guy on Brodes' phone calls all the time. Shout out to Brodes and all you guys that put on all the effort of giving us a well-studied view. Thanks. I appreciate it, Brian. I know Sean's like all throughout the a lot of the Phillies or a lot of the Phillies sports YouTubers out there. I actually do Brodes' editing, so I've been his editor for so long. So I do get a lot of the Brodes people in my chat as well. So so a lot of the Brodes people are like very familiar with me because I've been editing for Hunter for like years now, like since 2021 or something like that. So, but I do appreciate you joining up over here. Does mean a lot. Texas is like Seattle, really good pitching staff with one of the worst offensive producing lineups in the league. I actually don't think Seattle is as bad as they normally are, if I'm not mistaken. I could be very wrong on that though. I could be very wrong. Where's Seattle at in terms of like batting averages and all that? Seattle, a little below middle of the pack. They're around 18th. I think slugging wise, they're 10th. On base wise, they're like a middle of the pack offense. They're definitely better than they have been in previous years. Mets numbers with runners in scoring position are terrible, some of the worst in baseball. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Maybe that's why they struggle so much. Maybe that's why. But yeah. Think that's where we'll do it today, everybody. I think that's where we'll end. So yeah, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget that subscribe button does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal, don't pass it up. And we'll be back tomorrow afternoon to recap the final game of this series and see hopefully the Phillies get a sweep. Hopefully that could be the case. So appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, however you choose to do it. And we'll see you tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, whenever the game ends.